flipped 100 rocks in Australia. Here's what I found.
Australia is known for the craziest and deadliest animals. That's why I'm going there to flip 100 objects to find crazy bugs, venomous creatures, and so much more underneath. I'll be starting
like a fucking gacha game. Like you flip one rock and you might get a, you know, an exotic spider, or one rock and you get a shitty one.
Rainforest, but by the end, we're gonna get to the iconic Australian desert with insane animals everywhere. But don't think the rainforest is boring, because literally under this first object, I instantly found something deadly. This is a baby giant centipede, which when they get older are known for having some of the most painful bites in the animal kingdom.
Centipedes
We're on Australia
are up there in the creepiest insects of all time.
We're very likely to see a way bigger one soon.
Like, especially the big ones.
Second object, I found something I've always wanted to find.
Oh my gosh, I thought there was
A spider?
nothing here, but there's a literal massive
Where?
bug.
But that's exactly part of this bug's design. This is a spiny leaf insect, one of
Oh, I see it.
the most camouflage insects in
Oh, that shit actually was camouflaged in.
existence. You could barely even see it when it was standing on this leaf.
Oh, that's sick though.
Pretty cool. So I kept exploring, and when I got to object number 3, I found nothing. So I'm only gonna show the most interesting animals from now on, which
What if he... You know what? Never mind.
thankfully, object number 6 had
How
something
do we know these insects are not fucking planted?
super interesting. At first, you may just think these are regular old ants, but if you look closely, it's actually an insane species. They are trapjaw ants, which you can tell by their massively wide trapjaw mandibles. They have these microscopic hairs inside the jaws that when a prey touches it, the jaws snap within a fraction of a second.
It's giving me chills.
Making it almost impossible for prey to escape. Yeah, Australia is crazy. Now, as I continue
Or
on
crickets, man. Crickets are actually at the bottom of the food chain.
the trail,
Even though they're bigger than ants.
I was gonna flip this log, but
fucking
on top,
cooked.
I noticed there was actually a special species of millipede, which apparently has the ability to spit acid out of its mouth. Now, if you didn't know, with me, I have the backpack, where I pack tons of cool objects to interact with the animals I find. And this time, I grabbed a pack of paintbrushes. I wanted to see how this bug would react to being rubbed by one, and yeah, he was pretty mad. Initially, he kept curling up and biting the end of the brush, but eventually, I caught it doing this. Yup, it just sprayed
my
its acid
God.
defense chemical, which stained the edge of my paintbrush, and yeah, it just kept biting it over.
Is it like corrosive? Like,
And over. Well, sorry for disturbing you, little guy. That was pretty cool to watch, though. Now, as I continued on to object number 11, I found this. It's not a rock. It's
it looks like a hive.
actually a termite nest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
termites
nest.
will spend years, day by day, constructing a nest out of dirt. Sometimes they even get absolutely massive like this.
Whoa. That's sick. A bunch of termites made this big of a structure. Yo, nature's actually
Although
insane.
this one looked like it may have been abandoned, and there was something infiltrating it.
Yo, there's like a weird tail thing coming
a
out of
parasite?
this nest.
Yeah, it was literally partly inside the termite nest and poking its head out. I thought I had
Ew. Ew. You know what you know what that just reminded me of? Grasshopper parasite. This shit was so disgusting. This is nasty. Ew, 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 ew. Bro. I was living in its stomach.
found some undocumented snake species, or maybe a leech. But if you actually really focus hard on how this thing is moving, and in specific, this tiny little white thing on the edge of its head, you can tell that this is a baby land planarian. If you don't know what these are, well, they are insanely creepy. In this footage, you can see how they eat. Basically, they go up to an unsuspecting snail or worm, then all of a sudden, they completely wrap around it, releasing a sticky mucus to make it impossible for the prey to escape. Then they push some weird alien tube out their body that they can inject into the prey.
That's
and then
disgusting.
slurp out the insides like a smoothie. Yeah, talk about brutal. I think I'm gonna have to leave you alone. Now, under object number 16, I found a cricket, which I just thought was cool because in America, the crickets are a bright tan color usually.
But we're lucky we're bigger than half these insects, bro, because this
One
shit
was
is
way
yo,
darker. Now, I
Insect
quickly
world
took
is
out the
actually
backpack and grabbed a
disgusting.
clear container out from inside. Yeah, if you didn't know, these crickets make an excellent food source for other animals I'll find, so I'll be saving this to feed it to something later. As I continued walking through
Poor
this
cricket's life.
beautiful
Thrown away.
rainforest, I came across a little creek.
This looks like the perfect water area for deadly crocodiles to be swimming in. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be standing so close, actually.
Yeah, I don't know why everything in Australia is so deadly, but I went and flipped some rocks along the river where I of course found a little earthworm. Nice. Under another river rock, I found a pretty solid sized beetle grub. You can see it was quite a bit bigger than my gloved fingertip, but some of these beetle grubs will seriously grow so large over the course of a few years.
Ew, 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 ew. What the fuck is
My
that?
gloved fingertip, but some of these beetle grubs will seriously grow so large
That shit
over
is
the course of a few
huge. And this, yo, that's actually disgusting.
years that they may turn
That's nasty.
into beetles that are just genuinely
Oh.
insane.
All right, let me put your rock back, mister. Hopefully you turn into a amazing, massive beetle one day.
But as I left the river a little bit, I found easily the weirdest thing yet.
Wait a second.
Like the
I don't know if
hammerhead
you guys
fucking
can
beetle
see,
shit.
but there's something moving under this log.
Yeah, it was a bunch of extremely weird white things moving around constantly. I had to get out the backpack to grab a flashlight so I can get a better look at what was going on. This gave me a bit of a better view to see that inside of here was tons and tons of super thin legs. But they were just shaking so much that I had no clue what these things were until I poked a stick inside, which gave me a slightly better look at one of them. Yeah, if we pause at the perfect moment, it may look like some sort of
Dragonfly?
spider, but in reality, this is a phantom crane fly. Apparently, footage of these guys is insanely hard to get because, well,
close.
they shake like crazy when they
Kinda
detect
looks
a
like it.
predator. But in this rare footage I found, you can see how they fly like an alien spaceship. I'm not even gonna lie, this might be the coolest fly species
That's actually sick.
on Earth. What? For Object 29, I flipped some of these dead seed things and found another super cool ant species. You can see by these guys' awesome gold
leaf on
and
the
green
back.
color that they are Australian weaver ants. And what's so interesting is you see how this guy has its green abdomen pointing up? Well, that's actually their special ability. While most ants have mandibles or stingers to take down their prey, well, weaver ants literally have an acid spray in their abdomens that they use to either defend themselves like these ants or spray other attacking ants. And yeah, they also build bridges out of their bodies to help the rest of the colony walk across leaves. Talk about a crazy ant species. Now, the next animal I found was actually under a tree. If you look closely, there is actually some sort of bug that
Look at this place looks sick though.
the animal I found was actually under a tree. If you look closely,
Like this area looks fire.
there was actually some sort of bug that looked like it was just floating right under here. I had to put the stick behind it so my camera would focus on it, and after it did, I saw that this is actually a super cool animal called an inchworm. These guys are basically able to float under trees by spinning a
Yeah, I know about it.
tiny thread of silk that connects them to the leaves above so they can just hang from it. But this guy actually climbed onto the stick I was holding, and when I went to put him back, you could see how they have some of the funniest movement. Since their legs are only on the front and back of their body, they just walk around by curling their entire body up like this. Seems like a lot of effort, but yeah, I just put this guy right back. Now, Object 41 was this coconut, which I found out something super cool about. But interestingly, I first noticed that there was actually one of those trapjaw ants from earlier biting onto my finger. Yeah, I wasn't joking about how strong these things' jaws are, and he was glued onto my hand, just
just like
trying
that
to
shit in
inject his
Narnia.
venomous stinger in. Good thing I had these gloves on. Anyways, what is so interesting about this coconut is almost this perfect circle drilled into the side of it. This is not natural. It's actually a sign of a giant white-tailed rat. You see, these things live in the Australian rainforest and find fallen coconuts. They then use their insanely large teeth to drill a massive hole into coconuts, which most animals can't do. Then they drink up all the coconut water and eat some of that tasty white meat on the inside. But after the rat leaves, other bugs also come in here like these sap beetles to eat the bacteria that grows inside. Dang, a lot of life in one single coconut. And so I kept on exploring, and when I flipped Object 44, I found some of the weirdest springtails I've ever seen. If you didn't know, springtails are tiny little bugs that are usually white, but these ones in Australia I found are bright red. That may not seem super interesting, but if you didn't know, there's a massive market online of people buying and selling super rare
Don't tell me it's a hashtag ad.
springtail species, and apparently 10 Australian red springtails sells for over $30. So yeah, if I was smart, I'd grab these and sell them, but I don't want to interfere with the wildlife, so I'll let them be. Now, this trail is awesome because not only does it end up in the iconic Australian red desert, but it also passed by a literal beach. Yeah, the rainforest was connected to the water here, so I figured I should flip a couple seaside rocks. Under some of them were these aquatic snails with these pretty
Ew.
cool looking shells, and out of other rocks, crabs would dart out looking for for cover. I wanted to get a close-up of that crab that ran out, so I flipped the rock right next to it and found an even bigger crab.
Oh, look at him, bro. He's just staring at me with his claws up.
Yeah, you could see, compared to the size of my finger, he could definitely give me a pretty good pinch, but thankfully he went and retreated down into his perfectly placed hole. Now, there was also some tiny fish here that I tried to catch with this net from the backpack, but they were just so unbelievably fast, if you can even see them moving around in this footage. This ocean is crazy though, because the Great Barrier Reef is literally less than 10 miles from where I was standing. That place is home to some of the craziest and deadliest ocean life in the world, so I think I'll definitely come back here to make an underwater video one day.
Make sure you're subscribed so when I come back here, you'll get notified about the insane video I make. Anyways, let's keep exploring.
Now, back in the rainforest, I ended up finding a little log and flipped it. Underneath was just some super tiny, kind of boring ants, which normally I wouldn't show, but as I was watching back this footage, I noticed this leaf had something super cool on it. See all those weird
It's
bumps?
like dead animals, dead insects.
Laid out across the leaf? Well, those are eggs. Apparently, there's a bug called a large leaf-footed bug.
Oh, that looks sick. Yo, that bug looks fire.
That lays their eggs on the bottom of
That actually looks sick.
leaves and apparently are able to lay them in this perfect brick formation, which I just find interesting how symmetrical
Actually
it
looks
is. As I
beautiful.
continued down the rainforest trail, I found something pretty crazy.
Yo, these have got to be the biggest fruits I've seen in my life.
And in fact, this is actually the largest fruit in the world, called a jackfruit. But what was cool was that it was split open by some animal and was completely rotting. Tons of wildlife was eating it up, like these flies, and it even had some little worm larvae things that were just eating their fair share of it
That's
too.
actually
Must be
nasty.
pretty tasty. Just kidding. That looks absolutely nasty. Now, the next thing I found was
Disgusting.
under another tree, but my camera wasn't really focusing on it, so I held the backpack up behind it to show you guys what it is. It may look
butterfly
like some
looking
sort of moth butterfly thing caught on a spider web, but in fact, this yellow triangle thing is the spider itself. It's a type of northern jewel spider, and yeah, they're born with these crazy rock solid sharp patterns on their back. This makes it so spiders
Yo.
big as predators, birds have a way harder time eating them. The last animal I found in the rainforest section.
Shit looks like a jet. It dead looks like a fighter jet on top of it. Yo, you know what it looks like? No, it looks like a jet. It looks like a jet.
The rock solid
That's fire.
sharp patterns on their back. This makes it so
like it
spiders,
can
big as
glide.
predators, birds have a way harder time eating them. The last animal I found in the rainforest section was under this log. It was another crab, but this time it was a land crab, which is a little bit different than the beach crab we found earlier. These guys actually quite enjoy eating crickets, and if you remember in the backpack, I actually caught a cricket in this container earlier in the video.
GG's, rest in peace, that cricket, bro.
Which might kind of not be alive anymore, but it'll still make for some great food. So I brought it over to the crab and waved it around in front of him. He kind of pretended to grab it, but then all of a sudden he darted away so fast into a little puddle. He was probably a little bit scared of me.
Well, I'll leave that with you, little buddy, if you want to eat it.
Well, I finally made it to the Australia desert, which has some of the most deadliest animals on Earth. And that was instantly proven because under this first rock was another baby centipede. But this guy was still pretty small. However, I'm super confident we're gonna find a way bigger one. Now, under this little piece of bark, there wasn't actually anything, but I did see something running around in the corner of my eye, so I went to try and catch it. When I did, I realized it was a burrowing frog, which apparently didn't want to be with me because it just jumped straight off my hand. But a frog means there's likely water nearby. And after walking around a little bit, I found this little pool.
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff in here.
I wanted to get a closer look at some of the stuff in here, so I once again took out the backpack, and once again grabbed out that clear container. This let me scoop up some of the wildlife in there, which allowed me to catch the first aquatic animal, a tadpole. This is likely the same species of frog that I had just found, so it's pretty cool we found this. Anyways, the second animal I was able to scoop out of here was quite a bit different. This super weird, almost alien-looking creature is actually a dragonfly larva. Yeah, we've all seen dragonflies. They're pretty insane, cool-looking bugs. But yeah, apparently they start just as weird as babies living under the water. Now, finally, I was seeing
I did not know dragonflies lived in the water. Baby.
last creature in this pool of water, so I scooped it up. Yeah, these things are almost microscopic in size, but this is either some sort of water beetle or a type of shrimp. I can't really tell which one because of how blurry my footage was. But these guys are probably one of the main food sources of that dragonfly larva we had just seen. Now, as I continued on the trail, I ended up flipping rock 72, where something actually pretty cool did appear. If you look closely, this is a completely bright white spider. I've never seen a completely solid white spider, but apparently these are this color because it helps reflect the sunlight as it it just gets
White
so
lotus berry,
hot
that's
in these
what I'm gonna
Australian deserts. This next rock also had something pretty cool. It was giant wood cockroaches. But what was even cooler was that right next to these guys was this bug running around. This is a top whittler bug, and apparently it's in the same family of bugs that laid those crazy eggs earlier in the video. I'm happy we got to find one of these. But finally, after quite a lot of rock clips later of nothing, I finally found something I was looking for. And it kind of scared me when I first flipped the rock, but finally I had found a fully grown giant centipede. These things are crazy fast, so I kept getting spooked whenever I looked in my direction. But yeah, apparently despite having some of the most painful bites, it doesn't even have teeth. It actually injects its venom through 2 of its front legs that have been modified to attack prey. And while other invertebrates just go for small insects like scorpions, centipedes are known to take down literal lizards for lunch. Pretty crazy. Thankfully, the next rock that had something under it also didn't disappoint. Out from underneath ran a little type of velvet gecko. I didn't get to see it for long, but geckos are always pretty cool to find just because of how interesting of an animal they are. They're also some of the most common pet reptiles kept by people. Now, these next rock flips all rapid fire because I wasn't finding anything super insane, but I did find some termites finally. Also, I found this kind of cool grasshopper which just jumped into the grass, and I found a super cute caterpillar with a pretty unique pattern. If you're wondering, this caterpillar species turns into this pretty cool moth. But now I only had one more rock flip till I got to 100, and I really wanted to find a snake here. So I really locked in to find the best rock I could that could have a snake under it. I needed to find a rock like this that had a little gap under it where a snake could be. But thankfully, it didn't take too long till I ended up finding this.
Oh, yo, is that a lizard tail or is that a snake?
But as I moved my camera to get a better angle, I was almost certain I had found the body of a snake here. So I very carefully moved the rock to get a little bit of a better look at what was under here. Thankfully, this didn't look like one of Australia's deadly snakes. In fact, based off the pattern, it looked like a Stimson's python, which take down their prey by constricting it, not with venom.
I swear, every single rock flipping video, I find something cool on the last rock. But dang, I mean, I don't really want to stress you out, bro, so I guess I'll just leave you under your rock.
Well, there was 100 rock flips in Australia for you. Honestly, I found so many cool and unique bugs that made this trip worth it, but I know Australia has so much more to offer in regards to crazy animals, so I'm definitely coming back out here one day to make a part